Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Junkballer podcast. My name is Michael Greenwood, and I'm here with my good friend Kevin Otterbein. Kevin, how you doing?
Seamless.
We did a little of a background right there, background footage. We're trying to keep you guys updated on some stuff, give you some new angles to the podcast. We're going to try to update the podcast on Instagram and everything, but, everything's trial and error here.
Yeah.
But
well, it's a good thing that we prayed before this as I watched Stan pop out for the final out.
Oh, the Yankees lost again?
I
Big
think
surprise.
they need prayer. 2 hits today.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yankees are not doing well, sir. They are not.
No, it's sad. Well, it's sad for me.
Yeah,
The series is evened up 1-1, and they're probably not going to win the rubber match. Do you know that they haven't won a rubber match since late June?
Did you know that I don't care?
I'm going to tell it anyway.
Yeah, no, they have been struggling mightily, sir.
Yeah, but the Phillies are doing all right.
They're doing all right. Top wildcard team right now, doing all right. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
They lost 2 or 3 to Nationals, which was really annoying, but then they won 2 of 3 against the Giants and almost swept. But they're doing well. I'm enjoying them. It's a shame that Ohtani's not going to be able to pitch on Tuesday when they face him, because I kind of wanted everyone to see Ohtani pitch, and I almost was like, you know what, I'll go to that game and I'll pay a little bit extra to see Ohtani, but it's not going to happen. And that's honestly the biggest news in MLB right now is that.
Indeed. Could have some ramifications depending on what they do with it.
Yeah. Taylor texted me. He's like, yeah, looks like we can get him at a discount now. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. It's a good point.
We'll see.
I think that definitely took a hit.
Yeah.
It had to. I mean, he's not going to pitch till 2025, even though they are getting a second opinion, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. Does anything other than Tommy John work for UCL tear? I've seen the PRP injections. It never works. It always comes back. I mean, the Tommy John, at least the recovery and before you tear it again is more, there's a longer period where you're healthy. Yeah. But, it's so sad. And then Felix Bautista, the Baltimore Orioles closer, he has a UCL injury. He had to come out of the game the other day.
That's what happens when you make people throw 100 miles an hour constantly.
The baseball gods do not like the teams right now at all. They don't.
No.
But that's kind of the biggest news is the injuries in MLB. And Trout went back on the IL again.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Rough times in Anaheim.
100% on that. So we have something a little different for you guys lined up. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Kev, do you have a fun fact for us?
Well, it's related to a team that's flying high right now.
Flying high? Like the Flying Hawaiian? Shane Victorino?
The Braves are doing well right now. They're playing great baseball.
They're cheating.
Growing up, I remember Bobby Cox, the manager of the Braves.
Bobby. Yeah, I never liked him.
I could imagine.
Oh, yeah, I didn't like the Braves growing up. They were annoying.
Yeah, they were annoying.
Yeah, they won 14 straight divisions?
Something like that. But he was a great manager. But what he was also well known for was his temperament.
Mm-hmm.
And all the ejections he accumulated over his career.
Very true.
So Bobby Cox managed 4,508 games over almost 30 seasons.
Wow.
He was ejected 162 times.
A full season.
A full season of ejections.
Full season of ejections. Wow.
Or 3.5% of the games he was involved in. So like 3 out of every 100 games.
Wow.
He would be ejected from.
Wow, that's impressive.
Out of the 23 World Series ejections, he has 2 of them, and he's the only manager to have multiple World Series ejections as well.
That's actually a cool title. Multiple World Series ejections. I'll take that title. Someone said send him a trophy. just have it like the video of the guy throwing the base when he was ejected. And
what's his name? McClendon, I think, for the Pirates.
Yeah, that's what the award trophy should be, because that's the cool thing. Like just throwing the base across the.
Pinella used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, Lou Pinella. Yeah.
Or no, McClendon was different because he just took first base and walked back with it.
Yeah. So Bobby Cox is 162 ejections in the regular season, or is it total?
Total.
Is that the most all time?
Yes, by far.
By far. What's the next closest? Do you know?
I do have a number. Try and take a guess.
All right, 162. I want to say probably it's in the low hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 110.
A little higher.
120.
One more.
121.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. Is it Lou?
No, it's an older guy.
Older guy? How old?
Pretty old.
Pretty old?
Like dead ball era.
Oh, okay. Then I'm probably not going to know it.
It's John McGraw.
John McGraw. Would you have gotten that?
No.
Okay. Kev is the aficionado of trivia in baseball history and everything. We're planning to go to trivia in a couple weeks or something like that. But also, how funny was it yesterday of Howie saying Nolan what did he say? He didn't say Arenado. He said Ariendo. Yeah, Nolan Ariendo.
Ariendo.
I was like, who? Who are...
Just as a reference, by the way, Lou Piniella has 64.
Wow.
He's tied for 13th on the list with Clint Hurdle and Bill Rigney. Active right now is Bruce Bochy.
That makes sense. He's coached the longest.
He has 78.
Okay.
And Tony La Russa with 93.
He's not coaching anymore, though.
No. And Joe Torre has 70 because he managed forever as well.
Speaking of the Rangers, they are struggling with Bruce Bochy. We've lost 8 in a row. I don't know if they've won today or not.
It's going to be an interesting finish to that AL West race.
Yeah, the Mariners are all of a sudden in first place. They were like a couple games above 500, almost below 500 last time I checked the standings like vigorously, and now they're first place. It's kind of nuts.
I'm interested in what the wild card's going to be like in the American League with the AL West and the East teams.
Yeah. How far back are the Red Sox?
They're decently far back.
Yeah, I know my prediction of the Angels making the playoffs is probably not going to happen now. That was probably my worst hot take of the season so far.
Yeah, the Yankees winning the division's probably not happening at this point.
Yeah.
Our predictions are just if you want to listen to predictions, don't listen to us, please.
No, do listen to us. Do listen to us. They're fun. Okay, so the wild card teams, Red Sox are 3.5 back. It's pretty much Tampa, Texas, Houston, Toronto, and Boston. And that's it. Because the Angels are 9.5 back after Boston. Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Man. Gosh.
And unfortunately, Oakland was eliminated from postseason contention the other day.
Oh, no. Big surprise.
I know, it's really sad.
Well, did you know that the San Diego Padres are only a half game ahead of the Washington Nationals in the wild card standings?
What are they going to do there?
I mean, why trade Juan Soto? I mean, why? Gosh. What a joke some of these teams are.
It's the mentality that some of these teams have is that we're going to get all these superstars for a year or two or a couple of years and we'll win something.
Yeah.
And it usually explodes in their face.
Yeah. I mean, Texas is doing fairly well because they've gotten some, but I mean, DeGrom isn't pitching for them, but they had Seager, Simeon, and they've also had some prospects come up.
I mean, I'm just thinking like the 2012 Angels or like the Marlins, what they did at that time too.
Yeah, everything seems to blow up in their face when you spend except the 2009 Yankees. When the 2009 Yankees spent, they made it to the World Series.
Yes, but they already had a base layer there.
They had a base layer, but then they still spent a ton of money. Like, is that the year they got Teixeira, right?
Yeah, and they got CC and they got Burnett.
Yeah, those are 3 really good signings that, I mean, CC's a Hall of Famer, and Teixeira's the Hall of Very, Very Good.
Yeah.
So, and AJ Burnett's a solid 2-3 pitcher.
Yeah. But the difference, again, is just like there was already the base layer of people who you could have decent chemistry with. I feel like with someone like the Marlins, for instance, in 2012, they just got a bunch of guys
that's true.
to make a superstar team, and they didn't have it.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about some busts in terms of teams in a little bit. But yeah, that was a good fact about Bobby Cox, manager of the Braves. I think it was 14 division titles in a row. I'm pretty sure it was 14, not 15. But that was a good era of Atlanta Braves baseball, and I fully know it because I was watching it as a kid.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our fun fact for the day, for the podcast. And we have something special planned for you guys. One of us is not going to lead a discussion on one specific topic, but we do have something fun planned. Kev and I were talking last night with one of our friends, Taylor, who was on the podcast doing the fantasy team that we did a couple weeks ago. And, you know, we decided that it would be a fun podcast to come up with our wall of shame for players, anything in baseball, players, coaches, managers, stadiums. Like, what are some things that belong in the wall of shame? Not the wall of fame. This is the bad stuff that you don't want to be associated with. We didn't really set any criteria up. We just said, you know, pick 5 things that you think deserve to be in the wall of shame. We do not have the same. We didn't say which one. We did have one similarity before, but we decided not to share everything. So there was only one thing that we had the same, and I changed mine just because, but I'm not going to reveal what it was until later. But everything else is complete surprise to us. I don't know what his is. He doesn't know what mine is. I do have some honorable mentions that I'll do after. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Just one or two.
Okay.
Ones that I was originally had on my list, but I decided to switch it out with something else. I can mention those.
So we don't have any awards for these. We would love to have awards for Wall of Shame because these things definitely deserve to be put on a plaque and plastered for being terrible.
Do they even deserve a plaque?
Yes, to be.
Should they like a crumbled up wad of paper on a wall?
No, it's like the Razzies or something like that for like the movies. Like what's
No, I don't think these even deserve that.
Wow. Okay.
No.
Right. Okay. That's fair.
It's a wall of shame.
Yeah, it's all right. Wall of shame. We're no awards
or
no
hall
awards.
of shame, whatever.
We're just gonna strike them down with hate. That's what we're gonna do. And mine are. I decided that mine were not in any particular order, but then I decided now that I'm going to put them in particular order. So I'm going to go down from 5 to 1. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You could go first since this is your topic.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess it is my topic. Because Kevin and I, we go back and forth each time we do a podcast. All right, it's his turn to pick a topic. I guess I picked this topic, but both of us are involved in it. Yeah. So I feel like we'll figure it out after. But okay. So number 5 for me, for Wall of Shame, baseball Wall of Shame. This player is still playing. He is a pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's been in the league probably, I want to say probably 10 years. I want to say. He's been a decent pitcher, but it wasn't until a couple years ago when his divorce from his wife became very prominent and became headline news. Zach Davies of the Arizona Diamondbacks divorced from his wife, I think about a year ago, in 2022. But this guy is a total scumbag. In 2021, he was having an affair with someone and decided to ghost his wife until now, and has not talked with his wife, and has been having an affair for 2 years. During that time, he posted on Instagram a post of his wife celebrating their anniversary in 2022 while having an affair and while ghosting his wife. Total scumbag. When I heard that, I was like, wow, I don't ever want to be associated with anything. Like, how could you be in the locker room with this guy and just be like, yeah, I definitely want to play for him? Like, I couldn't do it. Are you kidding me, man? He just disrespected his wife by having an affair, not talking to his wife at all. And then you know what? To just add to it, his wife finds the anniversary post on his Instagram saying congratulations on another year of being married. What a total jerk.
Is the person he's currently engaged to the one he was having an affair with?
I don't know if he's
He is engaged.
He's engaged?
Yes.
Oh my God. I didn't do that deep. Oh my gosh. So this is a quote from his wife. In 2021, my world as I knew it completely fell apart. My husband cut off all communication from me while I was back home in Arizona and he was in another state. He sent a text message at 6 a.m. in the morning and then blocked me. I soon found he was having an affair, and I had to file for divorce without even having a single conversation with the person I built a life with. For the longest time, I was ashamed to tell my story, embarrassed of a marriage ending, humiliated by the way he chose to go about all this. But I'm finding there is so much power in telling the truth. So today I'm claiming my power back from someone who never deserved it in the first place. You go, girl. You go. Also, she's gorgeous. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't get these guys who just freaking cheat. I don't get it. Just scumbag. That's number 5, Zach Davies on Wall of Shame.
It's unfortunately not an uncommon thing to happen.
Yeah. Oh, and it's so much easier today with texting and social media and everything.
It's easier to do, and you can just block people and get up and leave.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of the easy come, easy go way of communicating with people in general now.
Yeah. So if you see Zach Davies pitching for the Diamondbacks anytime soon, just boo him from your seat and just know that he's a total scumbag.
He was just reinstated from the IL.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't know how you could play for that guy. I don't. Like, I know you have to be professional and everything, but come on. How can you respect him at all?
Do you know how he is in the locker room?
No clue. I mean, the Diamondbacks already have Tommy Pham, who's already kind of a little bit of a, not a head case, but just, he's had that problem with Jock Peterson for the fantasy league, which is really interesting story. But yeah, so Zach Davies, my number 5, Wall of Shame.
Well, if it helps you feel any better, he has a 7.38 ERA.
There you go.
And a 1.62 WHIP through 57 innings. Yeah. And also surrendered 13 runs over 13 innings during his rehab assignment.
Serves you right, scumbag.
It's not enough.
Yeah. Okay. Are you doing them in order?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is an umpire. Now, I was originally going to choose one that wasn't as popularly hated because I feel like the guy who I ended up on the list is the one who's super popular to hate already because nobody likes him and he's terrible at his job. But I just had to go with it. I had to put Angel Hernandez somewhere on this list.
Big surprise.
I know it's very surprising to you with the way he fails in his quote unquote rehab assignment in the minor leagues, which I didn't know they did that.
Hey, this is the first time I'm hearing about it too.
It's like he got sent down to the minors because he was doing such a bad job.
Yeah. It was someone else had a rehab assignment too. Like, I'm not sure who it was, but I was like, who are these umpires doing rehab assignments? But yeah, continue.
Yeah, from who is the guy who booed Angel Hernandez at the Cubs game and Angel Hernandez ejected him?
Oh, it was a Saturday Night Live person.
Yeah.
I gotta Google that real quick. You're right. Yeah,
he booed him during the 7th inning stretch because the Cubs have that tradition of someone goes up there, a famous person, and sings "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and he got thrown out. He got ejected from the game. That's like something Bob Davidson would do. He used to do that too, throw fans out.
Yeah. Steve Mongo McMichael.
He played for the Bears.
Oh, okay. I was totally wrong on SNL then.
He kind of sounds like a Saturday Night Live actor, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like a John Candy or someone like that.
Yeah. And also, Adrian, I mean, anymore, I have something to add, but you can continue.
Oh, no, it just seems like every time I see a bad call, like at least a third or half the time it's him.
Yeah.
And if people know your name, that's not a good thing.
Nope.
As an umpire, you don't want to have people know what your name is.
Angel Hernandez, CB Buckner, Laz Diaz, and I know Jim Wolf, but that's because he's freaking yoked. Yeah. But I was gonna say with Angel Hernandez, to add to his misery, he lost the case where he was suing MLB for discrimination. Because he's Hispanic. Which in reality, he was just everyone knows he's a terrible umpire, but he's trying to get away with the fact that he wasn't coaching or wasn't umpiring in playoff games. Yeah. Because of his race, which is, I'm like, dude, you know that you don't fall in the top umpires for correct calls. Like, how do you think that you're?
And honestly, if the umpires union wasn't so strong like all other unions are, if you want a job for the rest of your life, join a union, man.
Yeah.
You'll never lose your job, especially I guess if you're an umpire. But if he wasn't in that, if they didn't have that, he wouldn't have a job right now.
Yeah.
In terms of my least favorite, he's technically not. I think maybe someone like a CB Buckner or even like someone like an Alfonso Marquez. I don't know if you remember him.
I know Alfonso, yeah.
He had some pretty wretched calls.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Angel just deserves this distinction because of the notoriety he's built up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. Good number 5. Good number 5. Okay, my turn. So this player recently retired, but is still getting paid by a certain team. He is known for having some decent seasons with the Baltimore Orioles, but then once he signed his contract, he all of a sudden became arguably the worst hitter in almost Major League history. But it's a real shame just because he's a nice guy, and I haven't heard anything bad about him.
I don't think he deserves to be on here. I think I know what you're talking about.
You don't think he deserves to be on here?
No.
It's not necessarily.
Continue with your
So number 4 for my wall of shame is Chris Davis. The Chris Davis for Baltimore Orioles, not the Chris Davis for the Oakland Athletics, but Chris Davis for the Baltimore Orioles. And the reason why I have him on the wall of shame is because these are his stats once he signed the contract, which the contract was a 7-year, $161 million contract that would pay him $23 million annually, but then also he had deferred payments after that. After the contract is over. So he's still getting paid a couple $1 million. And these are his stats once he signed those contract. A 196 batting average, and in that time he went 0 for 54. A on-base percentage of 291 and a slugging percentage of 379. So an OPS of 670, which is almost 100 points below league average, and he's getting paid $23 million a year.
He should back cleanup for the Yankees.
Yes. An OPS plus of 80, which is abysmal. The MLB average is 100. And he did have 92 home runs in that time span, but that's pretty much it. And he averaged in the season, each season, he averaged a 196 batting average with 18 homers, 46 RBIs, and 152 strikeouts in 107 games.
Yeah.
He had 762 strikeouts in 534 games under that contract. The reason why I have him in the Hall of Shame, not because he's a bad person or anything, is because that contract is probably one of the worst contracts ever given out to a player.
Now, I do change my mind because I thought you were going to go in a different direction and have someone else on here.
Okay.
I thought you were thinking perhaps of Bobby Bonilla with the contract.
No, that really wasn't his fault. That was the Mets' fault.
Which is why I was saying he doesn't belong on there.
Yeah.
But even with Chris Davis, I guess he's earned it because, I'm looking here, he struck out 36% of his at-bats in 2018, which is an insane amount of strikeouts.
Yeah.
But it was almost like it got sad after a while. I felt so bad for this guy. He couldn't get a hit to save his life.
He went when he went 0 for 54, which was in the 2019. Yeah, it set a record for most at-bats by a position player without a hit, going 0 for 54. But he still managed to have a run batted in on a bases-loaded walk during that span. But I remember that time, you just really felt bad for him. But at the same time, I don't feel bad for him. He's getting paid $23 million. He should deliver.
Yeah.
And the shift didn't help him, obviously. And he did have some good seasons. He was an all-star in 2013. He led the league in home runs twice. He won the Silver Slugger. He had some good years. But and he was actually third in MVP in 2013 when this was a fantastic season. 286 with an OPS of 1.004, which is amazing. 53 homers and 138 RBIs. But then he's followed that up with a season batting 196. He was so inconsistent that he didn't deserve that contract. That's where the free agent time, the timing of being a free agent is so critical for players. And I think he deserves to be on the Wall of Shame just for how he handled the contract.
And I mean, even in 2013, he struck out 199 times.
Oh yeah.
So the signs were already there that he's this is a little dangerous territory. And then he struck out 200 times 2 years in a row.
Yeah. He led the league in strikeouts twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh jeez, gosh.
But he hit 47 home runs in the year they struck out 208 times.
And that was the last year before the contract.
Yep.
So like the first year of the contract, he batted .221 with a .792 OPS, 38 homers, 84 RBIs. Not terrible, but that's not what you want from a $23 million player. You want at least batting .250, OPS of 800 plus.
Getting that money.
But, after that, it was just he batted .215, 168, 179, and then in 2020, oh my gosh, in 16 games, he batted 115.
With no home runs.
Oh my god.
And 1 RBI before he ended his season with a knee injury.
Gosh. Yeah.
And then that's just like, it's just like, you ever seen like a horse race where it's like the horse like gets injured and you just feel so bad for it that you just want to put it out of its misery? That was like Chris Davis at the end of his career.
Yeah. So he's not well ashamed for just who he is and feeling sad for him. He's well ashamed because he didn't deliver on the contract, and I think it's one of the worst contracts ever given out. Yeah. That's why.
Yeah.
For criteria.
I'll go with something not as depressing, but I still don't like it.
This is your number 4?
Yes.
Okay.
This is more of an aesthetic issue of looking at nice things.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some uniforms you like looking at, and some where it's just you kind of got to squint a little. It's like, it's like if you look at someone and it's like, oh, that person looks pretty nice, and then when they get closer, it's like, oh gosh,
I put on my glasses.
And I feel this about this team right now, and this might be a little bit of a hot take for me, even though I don't know how controversial it would be for anyone else, but almost every uniform the San Diego Padres puts out is ugly. Whether it's their normal ones, their City Connects, their alternates, their throwbacks, the stupid camo that they wear on Memorial Day or the 4th of July or whatever, everything that they put out on the field is disgusting to me. And I think that's definitely worth it on the wall of shame. The only caveat is that their home jerseys, when they wear their white with the pinstripes, looks okay. Everything else to me, I think, is garbage.
Okay, so it's the uniforms.
Yes.
The San Diego Padres uniforms.
Yes.
My dad would 100% agree with you, but this is the funny thing about my dad on this opinion. He thinks that the Padres are never going to win anything because of their name. He's like, what kind of name is the Padres for a baseball team? I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's not a great name for a baseball team, but my dad just he's so adamant. He's like, God, that's such a terrible name. He's so adamant about it.
What does he think they should be?
I don't know. He's something other than the Padres, but he's just like, God, the uniforms are bad. Yeah. I don't hate the uniforms. They're not great. I don't like the pinstripes on the gray that they have.
That's weird.
I don't like that. The Twins just redid that for their new uniform. It was this year. And I don't like the pinstripes for away jerseys. Yeah. I think pinstripes are good for home jerseys.
Because it's white.
Yes, which is white, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't like the gray pinstripes. It's just, I think I like some uniformity with jerseys for away. Yeah, but it's whatever.
Well, you got to be careful with pinstripes, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
They can either look great or go horribly wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Are there any pinstripes that are really bad in the MLB? Rockies have them. Yankees have them.
The White Sox have
them. Phillies have them.
Mets have them.
No, the Mets do have them, yeah. No, I think all the pinstripes do work fine in MLB, in the MLB world. Nothing too bad, except for the gray ones, in my opinion.
Yeah. Which is another reason why the Padres should be on here. And, like, the brown and the yellow, I get that too, but it just doesn't look right to me.
So are they the worst uniform, or you just think that everything that the Padres come out, like the entire uniform spectrum is just terrible?
The spectrum in general.
Because I was like...
because there's worse uniforms in the major leagues.
Yes, I would agree.
I won't dispute that.
We might have a podcast on that one specifically because it's been on my mind.
Yeah, I think it's just a culmination of it. Like even their City Connects, it's like a knockoff Miami Vice thing they got going on.
I liked it when it first came out, but then the more I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is like some like 6-7-year-old designed it with certain. He only had one box of crowns, and they were all like Miami themed colors, and they're just that's what they had to deal with.
I mean, like the one thing that bothers me the most, I think, is like if they got rid of the yellow on the seams or the edges, I don't think it would look terrible.
Okay, I got to look at this
because I think they have like yellows on the collars and the edges of their uniforms.
Okay, so I don't mind like the teal green that they have on it. Okay, you're right. The yellow definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they got rid of that, they would be better, I
Yeah,
think.
the teal and the green and the pink, like, it's not bad, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like, oh, that's actually nice. That someone must have done like a mock-up or something like that. I actually kind of like that a little bit better.
Yeah, because you don't have the yellow.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a photo of a mock-up someone did where it's kind of mostly teal, and then it's got like a pink stripe across the chest saying San Diego, and that definitely looks better.
And it's a lighter shade of pink as
yeah.
opposed to like more of a red.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we'll probably have a podcast on the MLB uniforms because I am very worried about the Phillies City Connect jerseys when they got released. But
when are they releasing those?
I think we're either due next year or the following year. I think that's 2 more years of releases for jerseys.
Okay.
I believe. Someone quote me on that if I'm wrong. But yeah, no, good. I like your number 4. That's good. I like that. Okay. So it seems like there's a theme here. You know, Kev's been going with more obscure stuff. I'm going with players, and this player that is going to be number 3 has over 500 home runs in his career. And you probably know him from baseball, for being such a prolific hitter, but also he made news talking to Congress because he got accused of taking steroids. And he is most known for this. I'll read it verbatim. In a public statement, I'm sorry. Okay. Kevin just shook his finger at me. I had the quote here, and now I cannot find it. Here it is. This is in March of 2015, and this player said, "Let me start by telling you this. I have never used steroids, period. I do not know how to say it any more clearly than that. Never." That would be Rafael Palmeiro.
That's why I was waving the finger, because I was waiting in Congress. Like, I did not take steroids.
Yes. And then, he got suspended like a week later for a failed drug test, I think. And I was like, really? He got put on the Mitchell report. I know that.
Yeah.
And I know that. See, this is the wording that he started using. I have never intentionally used steroids. That word intentionally can be, used in the court of law, so that way he can probably get away with it, because maybe he never intentionally did it, but someone else intentionally put it in him, But then they were talking about Miguel Tejada put like vitamin B12 in him, which has some form of like that's against like MLB's drug thing. But the reason why I have him on my wall of shame is because he was so adamant in Congress that he never took steroids, period. It was the way that he talked to Congress, and then 10 days later tested positive for a steroid. In August of 2005, he tested positive for taking steroids. Yeah.
I've never been overly impressed with Rafael Palmeiro as a hitter.
Yeah, so
he put up the 500 home runs, 569 home runs, which is a lot. But he made only 4 All-Star games.
Yeah. Well, who was first base in the AL during those times?
In the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't make an All-Star team from 92 to 97. I mean, he did do well. Like, he batted. Yeah. Maybe he was a second half hitter.
Yeah.
That's what Harper is. Harper's a second half hitter.
I mean, he didn't. Well, he did hit a lot of RBIs.
Yeah. No, he's a fantastic player. It's just he's not,
They didn't wow me like a Sosa or a McGuire Bonds.
But 569 home runs, over 3,000 hits, 288 average. But he's not in the Hall of Fame because he took steroids. And I could have put every guy on steroids on this, but I think it was because he was so outspoken about it. McGuire and Sosa, they've kind of come out and like, yeah, I used them, and like, was a mistake and everything. But I remember like right after he retired, he was still fighting the fact that he never took it, and there's so much evidence proving that he did. Now, if there's it's innocent until proven guilty with this, but it looks like he's pretty guilty, and I think he deserves to be on the wall of shame for me. And number 3, Rafael Palmeiro.
Do you think any other steroid guys could be in consideration here, like, say, Clemens?
On my wall of shame?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I probably could have done a top 5 of just cheaters, but I feel that Palmeiro was one that stood out to me, and I feel like you could put them all on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of someone who recently Canseco came out and said that he did steroids, right?
He's probably the most open of all of them.
Yeah.
He doesn't hold back when he talks about his baseball
He's
career.
an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next podcast we can do. Top 5 most...
The Jose Canseco podcast?
No. Top 5 best personalities in baseball. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that at least Palmeiro, because of how adamant he was during the congressional hearing, that he said, I have never used it, period.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Others were a little more reserved. I thought Clemens was a little more denying as well, especially with the Brian McNamee stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like Clemens a little bit more, but
I have a soft spot for Clemens as well.
I mean, it's a shame. It really is a shame. We could have an entire podcast on steroids. I did a thesis paper in college proving that steroids was actually saved baseball because in '94 they had the strike. And then a couple years after that, they had summer with Sosa and McGuire, which was honestly one of the coolest things in baseball history, with McGuire and Sosa chasing for 62. Like, that was fun.
Indeed. Well, to go from fun...
I got a C on that paper. I did not do as much research as I should have.
Yeah. Well, to go from fun to not as fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to travel to the good old city of Oakland, California.
The good old city of Oakland, California.
Who one of our friends was talking about how he's been to third world countries and Northeast Philly, and Oakland was the place he was scared in.
That was Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor's been probably the person we've mentioned the most on this podcast of our friends.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, no, he was very adamant. He's like, yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah. And Oakland's just a bad place, and the A's have just been a franchise who are just so odd because on the one hand they made the playoffs 4 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and now they're one of the worst teams ever, literally.
Yeah.
Statistically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to go not just to the players,
Mm.
A lot of it comes from above, just like Dan Schneider was with the Washington football team or Commanders or Redskins, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, there's a petition out to get the Redskins back.
I saw it's got a decent amount of
got
signatures.
A decent amount.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they'll get it, but
we'll see.
There's a decent amount of support. But I think on my Hall of Shame, the worst owner right now, in my opinion, maybe one of the worst in MLB history, has to be John Fisher
mm-hmm.
of the Oakland A's.
Yes.
The way he's run this team and how they've just, they've had this net worth of $2.4 billion and they can't even win like 50 games.
Mm-mm.
Their stadium is literal crap. There's crap coming from the pipes above the stands.
And there's a possum in the broadcast booth. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what makes it the most shameful, and that's why he's really on here, is the way he's treated the fans of Oakland.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
The fans of Oakland, you could tell, are very loyal to this team. They're diehards, and the fact that they're trying to, just get out of Oakland and go to Vegas along with the Raiders, I think is just absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah.
And he just refuses to sell this team despite the pushback.
Yeah. I mean, there was even, when the Phillies went out to Oakland and played, Harper was I think he was given almost not a standing ovation, but he was cheered very loud because he had some comments saying that, Oakland needs to stay in Oakland. Like the Athletics need to be a part of that area. But it's just it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
The attendance is a joke, the stadium's a joke, the team's a joke, and the owner's the biggest joke.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't be owning this team. And who says it's going to get any better when you change locations? Sure, you'll have a nice new stadium and probably some revenue coming in, which is really probably all that he cares about.
Yeah.
But the team will probably still be crap if he doesn't actually try to build anything out of it.
I mean, when they traded away Donaldson, the last good team that I remember was when they had Donaldson, Sonny Gray. Who else did they have on that team? But that was the last time that I remember them being really good.
Yeah.
And I loved that team. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean they've kind of over the last couple years, they've had some concepts of like stadiums being rebuilt. Like it was like Cisco Field, which was a really cool rendering that they had for it, but they couldn't get it approved. And
they had another one, I think, by like one of their like terminals or ports as well, which was similar in concept to Cisco.
It was really cool, but I agree. This owner does not care about the fans, and that's like I said earlier. The fans are the ones that are suffering the most because they are there. They've been very adamant that the owner needs to sell the team, and they had that reverse boycott game where they were basically they were cheering during certain
sell the team.
Yeah, sell the team. And did you see that they raised the prices for that game or something like that?
Of course they did.
Yeah, they released like the statistics of like how many tickets they sold on that night and everything. I think the owner gave the only thing that I give him credit is I think he gave some of that to charity or something like that when the reverse boycott game, which I thought was cool, but it's kind of just a PR move and everything.
Yeah, and of course it's Vegas. Everyone needs to have a team in Vegas.
No, they don't. I know Kev's joking, but no, they don't.
No, they don't.
Stay out of Vegas.
Yeah.
Bad things happen in Vegas. I know that Trump said that bad things happen in Philadelphia.
And they do.
Bad things happen in Vegas. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Good number two.
3.
Oh, 3. Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking of my number 2.
Number 2.
Okay. This one was a player that I never really liked, and I'm probably why he's my number 2 on Wall of Shame. But he's actually, like, a couple of these players that I've chosen are actually decent players, but then they really just gave up. And this guy, when he signed with the Red Sox after playing with the Giants and won a couple World Series with the Giants, and then he just went to the Red Sox after signing almost a $100 million deal and then gained like 50 pounds and didn't care. Pablo Sandoval, what a joke. What a joke of a player he is. He gets that. So he signed a 5-year, $90 million contract after playing a couple years with the Giants, winning a couple World Series, a couple All-Star appearances. He's never been a big, athletic guy
Well, he's big.
He's big. He's never been an athletic guy. And then he signed the contract for 5 years, $90 million. And his first year, he batted .245 with 10 homers and 47 RBIs, all career lows, and had a swung at 47% of the pitches outside the strike zone, which was the highest percentage in the majors. He also came into camp completely overweight. And
that was my favorite part of the whole thing.
Oh my gosh!
Some of those photos were incredible.
That's what I was going to bring up next. The photos of when he came into spring training. I believe it wasn't the first year; it was the following year, where he just looked. I got to look it up again.
They're so great. His guts like straight up hanging out of his shirt. He's like almost falling over trying to field a baseball.
Yeah,
it's.
I'm going to look up exactly.
Not that he was ever thin with San Francisco, but he really, I thought, let himself go in Boston.
So he's my height, 5'10", okay? But he weighs 268 pounds. And I'm 5'10", 180. Like, that's 268 pounds. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so he was listed at 5'11", 255 on ESPN. But in reality, he was 5'10", 268. So he was very I have a story from the ex-trainer. He has an eating problem.
No.
Yeah. So he needs to be smart. He needs to be smart enough to share there's a problem. It's like the alcoholic that won't admit he's an alcoholic. Well, you can't address that you're an alcoholic if you don't ever admit there's a problem. He's proven to me and shown consistently that he's got to have somebody like me holding his hand doing that. And it's not an exercise thing. It's an eating thing. We had a chef on staff that cooked all his meals, but I think it's an embarrassment now. Yeah, it's not good.
And then when he got designated for assignment by the Red Sox, he came crawling back to the Giants.
Yeah,
he's like, take me back, please.
Yeah, he did. And then he was okay with the Giants. Like, he was serviceable, but his last good year was his last year with the Giants.
Yeah, not the same kind of numbers he was putting up his first time there.
Yeah, it's like he got the money and gave up, and just really didn't care. And that's why I think he deserves to be on the Wall of Shame at number 2.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he was
in a funny way.
Yeah, it helps for you because you were the Red Sox too. Like,
well, that and also just he's kind of I don't know. He's kind of like a doofy guy in a way.
yeah, like he's
Like not
panda.
that he's a terrible person. I'm not
No.
saying that, but like
Yeah.
just his posture and his demeanor.
I mean, he had a
sometimes.
fun nickname.
Yeah.
The
Panda.
Yeah, which was cool. But when you look at him, he doesn't look like an athlete. Of course, there are tons of athletes in this world that don't actually look like athletes. But he was a great hitter for his time with the Giants. But he's just, I gotta look up the fat.
The last time he played was in the Mexican League last year.
Okay.
In 28 games, he batted .240 with 3 home runs and 18 RBIs.
This is him during COVID. He's just stretching when the Giants. This is when he was the Giants. He's just stretching back, and it just looks like a dad just got out of the chair with a beer belly. Oh my gosh!
Let's not go back to 2020, shall
No.
we?
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's move on to my number 2 this time. And I mean, we're talk about stadiums and how. My favorite stadium that I've been to, I haven't been to too many yet. I'm going to Pittsburgh next month, notching another one off my list. But still, my favorite ballpark that I've been to is in Baltimore with Camden Yards.
Mm-hmm. It's a good stadium.
From Utah Street to just like being in the downtown. And it's just a great atmosphere to watch a game. Before this year, the Orioles hadn't been doing so hot.
No.
You could probably consider them one of the worst teams in baseball.
Yep.
And they've been trying to rectify that in a amount of ways. It's been paying off this year, bringing in players. I mean, now they're leading the division.
Yeah, a lot of prospects.
But they wanted to do a more of a fix to their stadium to improve that.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, yeah, I know where you're going.
And it's just like what they decided to do, because all the right-handed hitters were hitting home runs to left field. They moved the left field wall back like 40 or 50 feet. So it's like you had the foul pole and then it juts out 50 feet, goes across almost to right center field, comes back in, and then goes along its normal depth.
Left center. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, they raised the
raised
height
the fence.
of the fence.
Yeah.
So hitting a ball to like almost directly left field is like 397.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
And I hate it in a multitude of ways. For one, I think it's a cheap move because, I mean, really, can you not only trust yourself to pitch to like play the actual team, but also can you not even trust your players to hit a ball over the left field wall?
Yeah.
Also, it's ugly.
It's really bad. It's really
Camden
bad.
Yards is a beautiful ballpark. It's like you took this supermodel and you knocked her front teeth out.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to adjust it. I feel like it's gotten a decent amount of pushback that they could adjust it a little bit bring it back in a little bit. Of course, that owner is a joke too. So
yeah, with the Kevin Brown stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I mean that's a story for another time.
Man, what a season for stories, man. We got a lot of stuff we could talk about.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting season. Even though the left field wall I think came in last year.
I think it was last year, wasn't this year?
Yeah, because they had to take out like 10 or 15 rows of seats.
Yeah.
So if they want to reestablish that, they have to put those back in.
Yeah. I don't mind them raising the fence. Like at all, but I think they should bring it in if they brought it. But they brought it back too far. Like they overcorrected. Even they overcorrected more than double.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not like they moved it out like 20 feet where it's like, oh, it's negligible, it's not too bad. They moved it a good like 40 or 50 feet. So like I'm trying to bring up the stats here. So like at the left field foul pole is 333 feet. And then true left field was pushed back to 384, which for left field is a crazy depth.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I like what the Mets did with the – I know I'm giving the Mets credit here. Like it's unlike me. But the Mets for a little bit, they had the stadium, Citi Field, and it was too much of a pitcher's park. And so in left field, they – lowered it and put like a little bit of like concessions and stuff like that in left field wall, which was a great idea. It was really good. And I think it's been beneficial to them and the other teams as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, when they first opened, there was criticism about like the walls and how they're like different heights and different distances and making it more uniform, I think was an improvement.
Yeah, I agree.
Baltimore's doing the opposite.
Yeah, if it didn't look horrible,
no.
I probably wouldn't be as adamant about this, but it looks atrocious.
It looks atrocious, and it gives me so much satisfaction when people hit a home run down that over there anyway.
I think it wouldn't look as bad if you know how once you get to the bullpens in left center field, if it wasn't just like all of a sudden a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
I think if it was more like a 45-degree angle with the wall, it would look better. It's almost like it's like a trapezoid. Is that what it is? Trapezoid type
guess,
shape?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would look better. But the fact that it's a 90-degree angle, it's just like, oh my gosh.
And it's a huge amount of territory.
Yeah.
It's not a short distance. It goes out to the bullpen.
I can't imagine Kyle Schwarber playing in left field every day in that ballpark.
Well, that's why he's in Philly.
Also, for free agents signing, like hitting a right-handed batter, like you're not going to hit as many home runs unless you're freaking Giancarlo Stanton or Judge.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. That's a good number 2.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, again, like I was saying, Camden Yards, I love going to Camden Yards. And it's not like I won't go because of that wall, but it definitely degrades the beauty that it has.
You said it's a shame?
Yes.
It's a wall of shame.
Indeed.
Ayo.
Maybe we should put all of our plaques or paper things on it.
Yeah. Maybe we should put out on Instagram our wall of shame list. Maybe we should do that.
Maybe you should list your number 1.
Oh, that's
person.
right. I still have to get number 1. That's right. This one I'm very happy about. Mostly because it's still currently happening. So I've done 4 players. But this one, it just feels a little bit better to say because it just feels so good to say this. The 2023 Mets are just absolutely horrible and deserve the number 1 spot on my wall of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did they spend a record amount of money in the offseason to become World Series contenders and sign a future Hall of Famer in Justin Verlander, who they already had Max Scherzer, re-signed Edwin Diaz to their contract, re-signed Brandon Nimmo to a large contract, go get Cody Senga from Japan, who has been fantastic this year. But the New York Mets are currently in last place in the division with the highest payroll in MLB history at, I believe, 400 and... Oh, no, that might have been when they signed Correa. Where's their payroll? I cannot find it right now. Anyway, the New York Mets are currently in last place, and it's just fantastic. You know what's the best part about this? In spring training, they were practicing their World Series celebration.
Yes, they were.
That was a joke.
I think the omen of things to come is when they re-signed Edwin Diaz to that contract.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which was the first of many. I mean, no one was anticipating what happened to him, but I think it was just an omen of the bad signings and misfortunes that were to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
their payroll is $364 million, which is the highest by a decent amount. But the thing is, they did that, and then they also have to pay taxes on that. I think they have to pay like $40 million, I think, on that. And it's just been fantastic. Like, it's the Mets doing the Mets. They're doing Mets things. They have Pete Alonso, who they were thinking about trading at the deadline. Oh, that's another thing I have to talk about. So, they weren't exactly doing fantastic the entire season. They were just kind of like middle of the pack and like, okay, are they going to be buyers or sellers? And then they started falling a little bit more. And then at the deadline, I mean, Verlander got hurt. Scherzer had a 4 ERA. And then they're like, And then the first trade chip happened where Scherzer got traded. And you're like, wow, they are selling. And this is a complete dumpster fire. And everyone is so happy about it, except Mets fans. Because it's a joke. They're a complete joke. Then they traded Verlander. And remember at the beginning of the year, you and I talked that either the Verlander-Scherzer thing, it's 2 guys reaching their 40s, leading their pitching rotation. It's either going to work out fantastic or it's going to be a complete bust.
Yep.
And look what it did.
It's a complete bust.
Complete bust.
And don't forget some of the underrated bad trades or signings for the Mets, too. They got Gary Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
who's not playing for them anymore.
No.
They got David Robertson, who's not playing for them anymore.
Yeah, but he pitched well, though.
He did, but he's not there anymore.
No, he's not there. Yeah, no, they traded. Yeah, but that was a good signing.
It was a good signing, but he wasn't around.
Yeah, no,
very long. He wasn't around long enough to actually reap the benefits of his pitching.
They've been so inconsistent that it's so much fun to watch.
Oh yeah, and they had Luke Voigt as well.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
A lot of these former Yankees on this team.
Yeah, I just think it's so funny. The fact, like every year, I'm like, oh wow, the Mets actually might be good.
And they don't have Tommy Pham anymore either.
They don't have Tommy Pham anymore. No.
Yeah, just. And they won. The thing is, like, it's a dramatic change from last year because they won 101 games.
101 games the previous year, and then now they struggled to below 500 since early June.
I love the Wikipedia article. However, the team is still looking to make the playoffs for the second year in a row. There's no citation.
What a joke! Oh my gosh. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Buck Showalter's fired after this year. I mean, you can't. So
I do kind of feel bad for him. I know he's a Mets manager, but
I don't know.
I've had a soft spot for Buck.
Yeah. So some of the contracts that they are linked to, they signed Brandon Nimmo to an 8-year, $162 million. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Brandon Nimmo is not worth that much money.
Bad signings.
Gosh, like he's a good player, but he's not worth that much money.
They're trying to adapt a Yankees mentality.
Yeah. And I mean, Steve Cohen, the owner, he was very adamant. I liked that he was going for it. I was like, this is what an owner should do.
Being aggressive.
Being aggressive. And, I was like, crap, he's actually doing good things. And I thought that they were actually going to be decent. I was like, I think the Edwin Diaz thing hurt them in morale.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, crap. Everything was supposed to work out perfectly. And that was the first thing. And the season hadn't even had started yet. And so that definitely sucked. But as a Phillies fan, this is fantastic, and I love it. The number one wall of shame for me is the 2023 New York Mets, who have the record payroll in MLB history and are currently in last place in their division.
The only positive news, I guess, right now from the Mets I heard is that they're retiring Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry's numbers.
That is good news. They deserved it. They deserve it.
They deserved it. Maybe they could see what they're up to next season. Bring them back.
Yeah. I'm sure all the Mets fans that are listening, which we probably are none, because
maybe one or two.
Maybe one or two.
I have a couple of people back in Jersey who are Mets fans.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for them.
Are you?
No.
That's what I thought.
Not at all.
Well, for my number one, this is a team I absolutely do not feel sorry for at all. And only the Red Sox, in terms of like my teams that I don't like, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Very dangerously close for a multitude of reasons. Only the Dodgers have a bigger beef, I think, in my opinion, about this team than the Yankees do.
I would agree.
Because of the year that they did this. But the 2017 Houston Astros has to be number one on my list by far.
Did you hear that trash can?
That was a table.
Well, yeah, but I don't have a trash. Okay,
trash can's right there. That was the recycling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Anyway, move on. Gosh, I'm trying to make a joke and you're ruining it.
And
just like the Astros ruined
and
baseball.
before the whole scandal even came out, I mean, like, I was like, okay, they're beating up on the Yankees, but it was kind of a feel-good story back in 2017 because of Hurricane Harvey and how the city of Houston was kind of just devastated by that hurricane. It's like, the Houston Astros were a feel-good story in a way.
Yep.
And then the news starts to leak out.
Yep.
Who was it, the first person that talked about it?
Mike Fiers.
Mike Fiers, yeah. Talking about how, there would be someone watching it on TV, or they had cameras set up, and whenever there was a certain pitch that was about to be thrown, they'd bang that trash can to signal when a ball was coming. And when you look at the video and how it syncs up, it's pretty obvious they know what's going on. It's a very sophisticated operation. And it's not like there has never been cheating, quote unquote, in the history of baseball, which is probably an interesting topic for another podcast too. It's like, what's ethical cheating?
Yeah.
What's unethical? Because there's some things you can get away with and it's okay, like stealing signs and things like that. But it seems like Houston definitely crossed that line.
Oh, yeah. You know what the worst part about this was? Is that this news came out right as the pandemic hit.
Yep.
And so there were no fans and there was a shortened season. and they couldn't get scrutinized for it and get booed and yelled at by all the fans and everything. They got off scot-free.
Yep, and none of them. And another thing that bothered me too is none of them were at the least repent for it. They doubled down.
Yeah, Dallas Keuchel came out and said that he felt bad, that he should have spoke up. That was one guy that I know was adamant, was actually like, I felt bad for.
Yeah,
in that sense. But Correa was very and Altuve.
They were jerks about it.
Yeah,
they didn't apologize. They weren't like, oh, we shouldn't have done this kind of thing. And the long-term repercussions for the teams involved have been pretty long-lasting.
Yeah,
because Beltran was about to be hired by the Mets.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, this is probably not the right way to go.
Correct.
You had
Alex
Cora with the Red Sox,
yep.
even though he's back
now, which is weird. That was a weird thing when he got suspended, and they're like,
it was more like a slap on the hand.
Yeah.
The Dodgers didn't get their World Series in 2017.
Yeah.
Which
was a great World Series, by the way. That was.
Game 5 was incredible.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we know that they cheated.
Yeah. So it makes it less incredible.
Yeah.
Even though it was still a very entertaining game.
Yeah.
They did win in 2020, but does the COVID year really count, I guess?
It counts to the point where...
It counts to where they're champions of the league in 2020.
Yeah, because I count Freddie Freeman's MVP because I love Freddie. But, it's still hard. It's the 2020 season.
And in terms of my team, the Yankees had played in 3 ALCSs against this team, and the closest they came was in 2017. And I'm just wondering what would have happened if the Yankees took that Game 7 in Houston and went to the World Series that year, because Joe Girardi probably would have kept his job. That they probably would have still tried to develop that core that they were starting to build, the baby boomers at the time with, Judge coming into his own, and Gary Sanchez was there, and Gleyber, and all these other guys playing well. And even though the other two, you could say the Astros had their number, I wonder if things would have been different if the Yankees came out on top the first time around. And that's what bugs me the most, because long term, I think it's affected my team greatly. Yeah. And that's why I definitely cannot stand watching Houston play games anymore.
So when Altuve hit the home run off Chapman to send them to, was that the ALCS, right?
That was into 2019. We had Game 6.
Do you think he was wearing a buzzer?
Maybe.
Or a piece, as he said?
Possibly.
I think he was.
It's possible. I wouldn't put anything past them. I know for certain 2017 happened, but they could have been doing everything in 2019.
I know that the pitch wasn't a fantastic pitch by Chapman, but to have Altuve come around on that pitch like that was very odd. And
it was such a deflating home run, because in the top inning, DJ hit a home run to tie it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, let's go. Let's take this to Game 7. Then he throws that pitch to Altuve. Aroldis is just standing there smiling, and Altuve's trying to cover his jersey up.
Yeah.
Ugh. But, definitely deserved, in my opinion.
Yes, I would agree. That was the one thing we had in similarity. That was going to be my number one as well.
Yes.
I fully agree that the 2017 Astros deserve to be on the number one spot on the Wall of Shame in all time, in my opinion. But that was a good list. It was a good list.
Did you have a couple of honorable mentions?
That's right. I did have honorable mentions. So I had the entire Oakland Athletic Organization. I had the Los Angeles Angels since 2010, because they've been a joke, and there's been more things coming out with the Ohtani injury that they are not handling anything well in that clubhouse.
They probably would have been my 6th.
Did you hear the story that C.J. Wilson came out with on Twitter?
Was it about his rehab?
So it might have been during his rehab, but they said that they were not going to, because Pujols struggled with plantar fasciitis and his foot injuries and knee injuries. They were like, we're not going to buy a $70,000 anti-gravity thing to help him work out. We're going to rent it instead. What? You're paying this guy $200-something million over 10 years, and you're not going to spend $70,000 to help him get back to what full capability? I hope Ohtani leaves now. I hope he leaves and gets better respect, and I hope Trout leaves too. I mean, they need to completely rebuild and sell. Another honorable mention was the Black Sox of 1919. If anyone doesn't know, they threw the game through the World Series in 1919.
Go watch 8 Men Out. Great movie.
And then also someone that everyone might not know is Rusney Castillo. He was a top prospect for the Red Sox, and he signed a very large deal. I think it was 7 years, 80-something million or something, 90-something million. And he played, I think, in 20, 30 games total and did not pan out whatsoever. He was awful. And he's been in the minors and just been earning the cash. Just in AAA. It's just a joke. So those are some of my honorable mentions.
Yeah. I had a few, but for time's sake, I'll just limit it to one. And it was another stadium-related one, and both you and I agree is a pretty bad stadium, and that's Tropicana Field in Tampa.
Yeah. Have you been?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So we both been.
Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I was there when my family went on vacation to Florida one year. I was just like, hey, we're in Tampa. Do you mind if we go watch a game?
And you regretted it.
Yeah, my mom and my sister probably regretted it too. It's just like baseball in a dome stadium is really weird.
Yeah.
The aesthetic is weird. From the sounds to the smells.
The smell is what got me.
It's the plastic,
It's
right?
the plastic, yes.
It smells like plastic. It's weird.
Yeah.
And it's a depressing gray place. Yeah. Where they had the entire upper deck tarped off.
I think Miami does it right where they have retractable roof with it, even though they never have the roof open, which is a joke. Like Miami's gorgeous. Like let the roof open. But I think Tampa needs to have a retractable roof type of stadium or something where it's open and you can feel the outside of it.
Every stadium is a retractable roof.
Retractable roof, yes.
Going back to my last, I think that was my last hot take.
Yes, it was.
Speaking of.
Okay, so that was everyone. We're done the Wall of Shame. If you have any comments, questions, hot takes, or, do you have your top 5 Wall of Shame? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what we might have forgotten or omitted.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short and tight for those of you who kept listening to us for the last hour and 6 minutes.
Oh, man. We have an hour and 6 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Almost on the top 5 Hall of Shame.
The top 5, yeah.
So, I'm just going to go back to Ohtani. And poor Ohtani. I feel so bad for him. He's such a tremendous talent. Even he could still play. He can't pitch, obviously, really. But even as a hitter, he might still be able to be one of the best hitters in baseball, even if he can't pitch. So I feel like he could still go somewhere, even if he's not this big time, greatest thing ever contract that he would get. So I was thinking of teams that he would be able to go to, and I heard people talking about the Mets. I'm like, why would he? Don't go to the Mets, please.
No.
And I don't think he'll go there.
I don't think the Mets are going to.
I think he's going to stay out west. And the place I was thinking of is a team that's a contender, but they still need that. I still think they need that one piece to kind of get them over the edge. Ichiro played there, so there's still like that presence, and people love Ichiro, and he loved Ichiro. He's like his idol. And I think he would complement the team well, especially in that outfield with Julio Rodriguez. So I think he should, and I think he will go to Seattle.
You think he will?
Yes.
Oh. So I put it on my list of some teams that he would consider as Seattle, but I think the Ichiro thing is actually a factor of not going.
Why?
Because Ichiro is like the god in Japan, and I think he's like in Japan there's a lot of respect for people and players. So I think that Ohtani wouldn't want to step on Ichiro's turf. And
I don't know if he'd feel that way.
Well, that's just what I've heard. I think that he would probably be like, I don't want to go and follow in Ichiro's footsteps,
But it's not like he's going out there wearing 51 and trying to hit 200 hits a season.
No. I just think that there might be that was his thing. I don't want to come in and overtake it, and overstep him type of thing. That's my opinion. Okay. So that's why I think it might be more of a hot take for you because
yes.
I hope he goes to a good team.
Where do you think he'll go?
I think the Dodgers.
He'll stay in California.
Yeah, because they don't have JD Martinez is their DH right now. Would you rather have JD Martinez or Shohei Ohtani for DH next year?
Shohei.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. And then after that, he's going to be pitching. And then he's out in the West Coast. He doesn't have to change any paperwork, really, other than just his, like, he's still in Los Angeles. So it's the same. And he's probably going to get paid a ton of money. Good organization, good prospects, a great teammate, too. Like Freddie, Mookie, great guys. Good clubhouse. But I would hate it. I would hate it so bad. The only team that I think that I wouldn't be upset about that's like a big market team or like a top contender probably would be the Cardinals. But I don't think they're going to do it. But
No.
But
You think the Cardinals would probably be in a rebuilding phase at this point?
no, they still have Paul and
Arenado.
Ariendo.
Ariendo, sorry.
So I think the Giants, Dodgers, Angels, Yankees, Mariners possibly, but I think those four are like top contenders. I don't see anyone else really. Possibly the Cubs. I could see that happening. But I don't see anyone else really. I want the Phillies to get them so bad.
Everybody wants.
Well, yeah, obviously everyone wants.
Speaking of bad hot takes, I don't know if you remember. You heard Mike and the Mad Dog?
I've heard of him. Yeah, Mad Dog.
Well,
yeah.
Mad Dog. Growing up, there was a radio show called Mike and the Mad Dog, and that's where they originated.
Yeah.
They had probably one of the worst hot takes I've ever heard from like 5 or 6 years ago, where they were talking about it was a good thing that the Yankees didn't sign or go after Ohtani.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and I like those guys, but they were wrong.
To be fair, at the beginning of Ohtani's thing, it did look like, oh, this isn't going to pan out. Like the first 2 years, because he was injured and just struggling, wasn't exactly. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's the best player in baseball, and he's so much fun. I think it's so great that everyone loves him, and everyone feels bad for him and everything. He's not like a jerk. He treats everyone with respect, and it's so great. But yeah, I would agree that it's a hot take if he ends up in Seattle. So that's a good one. I'll put that up on Instagram. See if. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Sorry that we went so long, but I hope you enjoyed the podcast, the Wall of Shame. I'll see if I can put out something on Instagram with our Wall of Shame list, and whether or not you guys agree with it, let us know. But I know I had fun talking about it, and I'm glad that the Mets are struggling.
And I had a lot of fun too. And if you guys listened this whole time, thank you so much. You guys really helped this podcast a great deal. Yeah. So please provide feedback and comments or likes or however you want to.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Later.